Alright, everybody. Welcome to the first episode, or kind of our second episode of the Safely Extreme podcast for the week of January 10th, 2021. This is where we discuss game industry and game dev topics. I'm, of course, Josh Beister. This is the first episode, I think, of the Safely Extreme cast with my new camera. So I'm now in 1080p. You can see more of my lovely room. People have noticed I'm not in a closet anymore. I've upgraded in so many ways.
And you painted your room.
Yeah.
It's white.
Mm-hmm. And joining me is game designer from Nexus Games, Sharky. How are you doing?
Oh, I really wish I could say I was doing good, but I'm really not. But still making progress, and actually, we're doing really good progress-wise in a lot of ways, kind of thing. But, life has certainly got me down this week, and, just got to deal with it, kind of thing, and go forward as best we can.
Yep, it's been a very interesting week here. Nothing bad happened on January 6th.
No, nothing. Especially not in my life. It wasn't just, national stuff. There was like personal stuff that also did not happen on January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing that happened on that day.
No, it's been very peaceful. I'm sure it'll be peaceful next week too.
Mm-hmm. It'll be very, very peaceful. The real time it's going to get chaotic is like after 2021.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, things are going to be absolutely chaotic then, because like nothing will be, everything will be chaotic, because like there will be no, there will be all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, I suspect that that's probably still going to be a rough year too, but it's going to be a lot less rough than 2020 and 2021. Because I'm suspecting that 2021 is going to be rougher than 2020, just slightly, and that 2022 is probably going to be like a Cadillac ride compared to both years, but still a pretty rough year. But
Mm-hmm.
Cadillac ride compared to this one and the last one.
Mm-hmm. So basically, our prediction of 2021 being, New Game Plus of 2020 came true, it looks like. So I guess 2022 will be what? Nightmare mode, Ultra Nightmare?
No, no, no. I think it's going to be the actual real next year, according to people.
Okay.
But
All
it'll
right,
still
well,
be it'll be the normal crap.
hmm,
20. I suspect 2022 is going to be somewhere along the level of crap of like I don't know 2016, 2015, somewhere in there. Maybe worse, but somewhere around that kind of crap level instead of the crap level of 2020 and the 2021.
yeah, to a board fan's point, oh boy, yeah, like in 2012, I remember people were playing, this is the end, and nothing happened. So we'll see what happens this year. We'll see what song will, mark the apocalypse, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't think we're close to the world ending. You know, I don't think we're exactly super far away, but I don't think it'll be in our lifetimes.
Mm.
Now, if you're watching this from the future and you weren't born, but on before the date this video was made, maybe the end of the world might be in your lifetime, but I don't think it'll be in anybody alive right now lifetime.
All right, but let's see. Anything happening game industry wise this week in terms of news? Because again, with everything that's been happening, it's been very quiet for video games.
Yeah, it has. And I suspect, I suspect stuff will drum up in this coming week. Because, if you think about it, most game devs, the professional ones are probably on vacation until either last Monday or this Monday kind of thing. And you got to give it time for the pot to get, stirred and whatnot. So probably around next podcast, we'll probably have a bunch of different things pop up in the news about game dev, about this person did this and this person did this company did
Mhm.
this, that company did that, and predictions. I mean, like, I mean, we honestly need like a wheel kind of thing, a
Hmm.
spinning wheel, with excessive crunch, all these known things, and all the known triple A's that cause them kind of thing. You just spin the wheel and see, spin one wheel for the company, and spin one wheel for the effect kind of thing, and be like, we predict this week is going to be this and this. And I bet you there would be an ironic number of actual correct ones.
Well, and at least some good news. GDQ was this week. They held it online, and then I've been trying to catch up on some of these shows. Do you watch anything of GDQ?
No.
All right. Well, for the chat watching this live record, let me know what were some of your favorites. I just called part of the Celeste Dance Pad speed run, which I'm pretty sure that guy must have like super legs in order to do that. Let's see. Someone attempted Left 4 Dead single player, which I think I could actually do that speed run, playing a 4-player game by yourself on the easiest difficulty.
You should play a 4-player game by yourself on the hardest difficulty.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Blindfolded too.
yeah, that's true masochism.
Hmm. But other than that, again, I'm sure we'll be getting some big news coming this week. So I think let's get to our main topic, and that's going to be talking about predictions and things we would like to see for 2021.
And I've got a prediction right here. On the news next week, I'm predicting there will be something on Cyberpunk, some other trouble that's caused.
Mm. Yeah, and Cyberpunk was part of the end of our year wrap up, just at the end of 2020, discussing how bad a game could fail. With given like every advantage I think known to man.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the game industry itself, it's going to be very interesting to see what this year will hold. And I think one of the big things to discuss is that this will officially be the year of the next generation. This will be the year of the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and I'm curious to see how it develops. So, any thoughts from you about kind of what Sony and Microsoft could be doing this year, console wise?
Well, I think they've already given out specs for it. I think, or at least somewhat specs. I know people have done teardowns of at least something they've done and figured out a lot of information. So don't know if there's anything I can really add to that, other than Sony's going to go for more exclusives because they've been, on that anti-consumer model kind of thing. And Xbox slash Microsoft is going to go for that pro consumer route, which is very weird for Xbox slash Microsoft.
and and to board fans' point about Apple versus Fortnite, yeah, and that's another interesting point about what will be happening there with the Google Play Store. And I do wonder about what is going on with Fortnite itself. Like, where else can that game go besides just more, sponsored content?
Yeah, I don't know. But like I don't expect we'll be hearing anything from the Apple versus Fortnite for several months. Probably I think the next court date I think was in April, somewhere in there. So we probably won't be hearing much more about that unless somebody wants to take to Twitter kind of thing or that kind of thing. I don't suspect we'll be hearing anything else about that until, April-ish.
Mm.
But we definitely will be hearing about that from that this year. Not much of a prediction, but that's we're not like here to just like throw roundabout guesses about how we think that in 2021 random game will appear. This is based off of trends and things that are currently going on that we're surmising is going to continue to happen or, go forward into 2021.
I think the big thing, at least console wise, is regarding Nintendo. There are announcements, of course, that we're hopefully going to get a Breath of the Wild 2 this year, which I'm excited about. But it does remain to be seen what will happen with the Switch. Namely, will we get a quote unquote Switch 2? Will Nintendo go in some other completely different direction? Hi, Mike. Or do you think they'll just keep with the Switch as it is right now?
Well, there's been rumors forever for a Switch 2, and that
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure a lot of that is fan driven, not actual rumors kind of thing. So there's as far as I know, I have heard nothing from Nintendo side, which means if I had to guess, I'd say that a Switch 2 is both likely and unlikely at the same time. It's
That's
it
safe.
it, it yeah. It's likely because I mean it makes sense going forward that they would, do a second version of the Switch because combining the handheld market and the console market for them is, game changing kind of thing. But at the same time, the unlikeliness of it is the fact that Nintendo hasn't said anything about it. And Nintendo is known for doing off the wall stupid shit. So, I mean, the fact that they haven't said anything really kind of, leans into that fact that they're probably doing something crazy off the wall, stupid kind of thing. And so they may be making something they call the niche kind of thing. Just switch with the M in front of it, and what it is it's a smartphone, not a console, or handheld, but it's a smartphone, and it has all of the Switch games on it, but but the horsepower of it's just barely above the Switch kind of thing, but it's smaller kind of thing, fits in your pocket easily, and it has all kinds of weird gadgets that in no way will fit in your pocket kind of thing, and and they just don't even have a console site. I mean. That sounds like something stupid and off the wall what Nintendo would do. And maybe I just predicted the future. Maybe not, but you know, it it very well could be what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Switch is middle aged. Trying
I,
to
I don't
think
know
where are
if
my thoughts.
Switch is middle aged, does it? Didn't it come out around the same time as the didn't it come out like a year or two after the PS5 and the Xbox?
You mean PS4?
Yeah, PS4.
Let's see.
I thought it was about a year or two after. Of course, Nintendo does
Uh,
not.
2017 it came out.
When
Eh,
did the PS4 come out?
I think earlier than that. Let's see. Yeah, 2013 was the PS4.
Hmm. Yeah.
Long, long time ago.
Not that Nintendo follows, the generations of everybody else either. So,
To Nikita's question, what are the current trends in the indie part? Are some particular genres doing better commercially? That's an interesting one
well,
because the challenge.
platformers have always been flooded for the longest time,
Yeah, but I don't think they're as big as they were like 3, 4 years ago. I think it's because so many of them have come out.
and they're still continuing to come out.
Yeah, roguelikes or rogue adjacent games, I think have been gaining a lot more momentum. Slay
Yeah.
the Spire, Monster Train, Banners of Ruin,
Card
Cider,
games,
yeah, deck builders.
whether it's a single player card game like a Slay the Spire and Monster Train, kind of thing, or if it's a multiplayer one, kind of
Mhm.
thing. They're all like accelerating kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
I
of
think.
course, cyberpunk as a genre is accelerating too.
Yeah, I do think Battle Royale has been on decline. What would you think about that?
Yeah, yeah, battle royale has definitely been on a decline.
I think
And
it's kind of entering that period, the same as what we saw with the CCG trend, that everyone tried to jump on it. The games that failed quietly went away, and the ones that succeeded have kind of dominated the scene.
yeah, I think the real weight on a on the brain party. What were we talking about?
In the market,
No, more specifically, the last part.
Battle Royale.
Yeah, the battle royale. I think the reason why what's waiting on battle royale is innovation, because right now there's not really any innovation in it. It's just throw a bunch of players into a uninnovative first person shooter, and there's a battle royale. It's just multiplayer mode for a FPS, and there's no real innovation in there. There was never really much innovation in there to begin with. You know, it,
Other than like Fortnite with the building aspect of it,
yeah.
which is part of the reason why it kind of stood out from everybody else.
Hmm.
Now,
But
one thing that go ahead.
yeah, but like the thing is I think that it's really needing innovation to, like, and I have an innovative battle royale thing that I want to do kind of thing, Project Mech, but and it's very very different, and but somebody will probably innovate it before I'll get to making that game. Kind of thing.
Well, just finish Neon Continuum tomorrow and you'll be good.
Yeah, I'm too hungry to skip lunch tomorrow.
But one thing that I was talking with Thorn about on the Discord, I think what's very interesting is about what does monetization mean in 2021? Because I think this could be a potentially bigger deal than a lot of people realize. Again, for those of you who missed the news, of course, there was all kinds of discussions about loot box laws back in the early parts of 2020, the before time. And there's been discussions about what can you do more with monetization. And this is something that, again, like mobile developers, free-to-play developers are definitely, keeping as many eyes as they can on. At the end of 2020, we saw the release of Genshin Impact, which may very well be like the biggest in terms of, I think, just, design and content from a mobile game. The fact that it was released concurrently on mobile, PC, and console is certainly a big deal. And the game is entirely free to play. And I know, and I'm sure a lot of people have been eyeing that game in terms of what can we do to follow in those footsteps. And I guess here's a question for you, and this is one for the chat as well. Do you think we will ever go back to the days of subscription models for online games?
I I think it's a possibility. I think I know what I'm doing personally, kind of thing, with my current game, Neon Continuum. Not the word of the day, surprisingly. Um, what we're doing is we're offering a optional subscription service kind of thing to it's a free to play game to help with the addiction. You know how like people get addicted to free to play games, and overspend and whatnot, and the subscription model is there as in they can grab that, support the game kind of thing, get the cards they want without ever having to worry about overspending because everything is, just, auto charged kind of thing, and they're just on this set path kind of thing. And, you know, more people might, do that kind of thing, as a supplement kind of thing to, regular monetization models. As a just regular flat out subscription models, I don't know. It's hard to say. Just it's a very very old model, very kind of out of date kind of thing. And usually you have to buy the game with it, and before you do that, and I don't think people would be all that willing to do that. And I think that if you're doing a free to play with a free initial thing with a subscription model, maybe, but that would be extremely risky on your side, and you would probably also need to offer a week trial or something before that for free. So like, I mean, like it's really sketchy and everything. So like, I don't think it will come back in its normal form. I'll put it that way. It may, but I don't think it will. That would be my prediction.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to come back in a traditional way either. I think, again, that people don't want to go backwards in terms of how monetization works. And Nikita actually beat me to my point. That's really good. You actually a step ahead of me there. I was just about to mention Battle Pass. Because a Battle Pass, for all intents and purposes, is a subscription. It's either a monthly or bi-monthly purchase that earns you more rewards for the more you play. So, in effect, the developer is getting a monthly subscription, but again, the consumer doesn't see that. They see, oh, I'm spending $10, $15, whatever, and I'm getting all of this stuff on top of all the free stuff. And it's basically a way of, it's essentially a win-win if you go down that route.
Yeah. It's a win-win for the developers. It's not a win-win for consumers. Because I have the same issue with battle passes as I do with DLC. Most of the time, whatever you pay for is not worth what you pay for.
Yeah.
You pay for you pay $10 for the $15 for this content kind of thing, and the content is not worth $15. It's not worth it's not worth a small indie game for
Mm-hmm.
a hat for your one character kind of thing. It's not
Yeah.
it's not worth it. It's not worth these 3 cosmetics for the price of an indie game. It's not worth the one level that you can beat in 5 minutes worth a price of an entire indie game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
it's I mean, the developer in the end, for DLC or whatever extra content that they're selling kind of thing, needs to make back the money that they spent on it and a lot more kind of thing. But I mean, that's not a reason to, like, I don't know, commission a hat from one of your 3D artists that takes them a, a half a day to make kind of thing. Just one of your 300 artists, mind you, that are working for your EAs or whatever kind of thing, and then charging $5, $10, $15 for that one single hat kind of thing. But that hat cost you probably about, I don't know, what, $50, $60 to make kind of thing. And, you sell, you sold 10 billion copies of your game kind of thing. So you're going to sell probably 300,000 copies of this, hat kind of thing, which that times $5 equals worlds more, too much more than the cost to make it kind of thing, and it's not worth it. Now if it was 99 cents and everything, it would still make worlds more, because that would be $200,000 compared to maybe 60,
mm-hmm.
which would still make you a breakneck amount of profit kind of thing, but it would be more reasonable on the consumer side. Just charging $5 for that is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you see a lot of in DLCs and and battle passes kind of thing, and that's really sad.
Mm-hmm. And I think we are going to see more developers experiment or try to do more in terms of monetization, be it from a free to play or from a retail or purchase based game. I guess when it comes to like the mobile free to play side, let me see. Yeah. And I think to a board fans point, yeah, I don't think microtransactions will ever go away outside of actual, a government law going into effect.
Yeah, and I hope they
And
don't go away, because the thing is microtransactions are not the issues. Predatory actions is the issue. I mean, you can do predatory actions without microtransactions. Just look at the like what all the special editions on your $60 games right now. I mean, those are very, very predatory. They have
Mhm.
nothing to do with microtransactions. Look at some of these subscription models out there that are like if you look at some of these smaller developers, they're doing these Patreons kind of thing, and they're charging you know $5 minimum to obscene numbers dollars a month kind of thing, and all that gets them access to is the next alpha of a game that they barely even work on kind of thing. And in 3 months, it's like, yeah, that's on the small tier, that's $15. That's an indie game. That's a full indie game right there. And you're paying, across a year, you're going to pay $60, like AAA price,
Mhm.
for 12 very minimalistic alphas on you know this, and you're doing the testing for them, which, arguably I would say that you should be doing that for, you should be testing for, charging them to test their game kind of thing, essentially. Or at least, getting a key for free or something like that. Like I know I gave my testers a free key to the game, because out of payment, because it was the least I could do. And they're charging for it. They're charging obscene over AAA prices kind of thing for it. And it's ridiculous, kind of thing. And so it's not about the microtransactions. It's not about, whatever model it is. It's about the predatory actions. And, of course, if, most lawmakers, especially U.S. lawmakers, if they go into it, they're going to, scorched earth, and we've already seen this, and they're going to get rid of all of it. And it will not fix the predatory actions in the least. It will kill the games that aren't doing predatory actions, and it'll make everybody harder to do it. So, like, the only way that that would go well is if you had somebody in the lawmaking body that actually knew what the hell they were talking about video games, which may happen in about what, 10, 20 years from now,
maybe.
But like, unlikely, because more than likely they wouldn't be in Congress or in any kind of politician, because they would be doing other stuff, kind of thing. And that's the problem, kind of thing. And so, like, the ideal method would have somebody like the ESA, actually strike some real rules, kind of thing, to protect the game industry from itself. But apparently the ESA is trying to protect it in the wrong way. Trying to protect it as in sheltering the bad stuff rather than cleaning up the bad stuff, so that that stupid laws don't come into effect, because they seem more intact of short-term profits versus long-term viability, kind of thing, which is screwing all over the indies. And so what we really need is a better ESA, or a new version of an ESA, kind of thing, that actually cares about the industry and doesn't want to ruin it for profits today, and and have them regulate in such a way that stops the predatory actions while not stopping the other stuff.
Yeah, but that's going to require, again, people who know how this stuff works to be in a position to do that. And I don't think that's going to be happening if in the foreseeable future.
No, hopefully I will be able to get into a position like that.
Yeah, and I think, again, like when it comes to monetization and stuff like this in general, that trying to go backwards is not going to work. I think, one, because people have gotten tired of those games, and two, they're going to be competing with the ones who are doing something different. So, like, stuff that we've seen, like pay or wait mechanics, force to watch ads, a lot of very smaller mobile games and free to play titles like try to go that route. I think that is a kind of like a dead branch. Like, it's not going to go any further in that direction.
Yeah. Although, people are, a lot of these hobbyists are on the, put ads in their game route kind of thing, which is something they shouldn't be doing. But that's what they're, a lot of them are doing that. And a lot of them are making those ad companies a few $100, and they're paying out nothing, because they'll never get to that $100 minimum pay for the advertisement. Yet while these companies are getting, they're paying out 0.1 cent per ad click through kind of thing, and they're getting $20-$30 per ad click through kind of thing, and they'll get many thousands of those kind of thing, and you get your account up to $20. Meanwhile, they're making like $200,000 kind of thing, and they're like,
Mhm.
well, it's been this long. You've only got $20. We're going to kick you from the program kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then they just don't pay you anything, and they just make $200,000 off of a hobbyist bat kind of thing, and you know, it's bad for the hobbyist in multiple ways because they're monetizing the game that's not worth monetizing, which is getting them in trouble, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then they're making all this money for normally pretty scummy companies that are paying absolutely nothing for it. They're paying fictional money because you will never make that $100 minimum unless you're actually a legit game. But if you're an actual legit game, you're probably not running that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah. And again, it's going to be, I think, very tricky for developers to kind of handle this going forward. As you said a few minutes ago, the challenge is that you want to develop content you can sell, but you don't want to spend so much time on that it's basically killing your profit to make that stuff.
Yes.
And we saw kind of the almost like third generation MMO developers fall into that trap of we're gonna work on this game release content monthly, and then realize A, it takes a lot more time and work to do that, and B, they weren't getting the money to kind of justify spending that amount. And a lot of developers, I think, fall into that trap. Even like those who go on early access or think about releasing their game and then getting paid after the fact, that I can work on this game for 6, 10 years. I'll be perfectly fine. And it doesn't work like that. Like most games to succeed need to have a few years of content already prepared for 1.0 because people are going to run through that stuff probably in like a month or 2.
Mm-hmm. Which is what I'm worried about on my current game because like I have
Mm-hmm.
people telling me that why don't you just cut the number of cards in the game, and it's like there's only 150 in there right now, and they're talking about cutting like 30 or 40 out of there. It's like, yeah, 110 cards. Yeah, do you know how much I'm going to have to penny pinch to keep somebody who plays like all the time from getting all the copies of all the cards, for free and never needing to monetize at all, and having no way to actually make money on the game? No. It
Mm-hmm.
needs, like ideally we need 200 250 cards kind of thing in the first set kind of thing.
Yeah.
My
And I
budget
think
can't float it though.
and I think that's another major trend. One I think we keep saying every year, but I think it begs repeating that the amount of content and quality that consumers expect keeps going up and up.
Hmm.
And you really and we've said this many times as discussions on this show and even with my critical thoughts. You can't expect something that did well, 2019, 2018, or even 2020 to work again in 2021. And we can, repeat that for 2022 and 300 and so days from now.
Hmm.
And one of the things, like, we were playing this game the other night, that Rogue Shift game, and it's being developed for a Kickstarter. Developers trying to do a lot of stuff with it. And, excuse me. And the problem is that there really is like the barest of bare bones there in terms of aesthetics and gameplay loop that I can't imagine without a complete rework anybody playing that game or even being interested in the Kickstarter of that game.
Yeah, I mean, people think Kickstarter's easy, but it's not.
No.
And it well, I take that back. It might be easy if you're developing a physical game, but if you're developing a video game, which is what we do here, kind of thing, or we talk about it anyway,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is insanely hard for a video game to get anywhere in a Kickstarter kind of thing. You have to bring all of the polish, lots of gameplay. You've got to bring a lot of stuff, and lately I've been debating on doing a Kickstarter towards the end of the current development kind of thing, mainly for marketing. You know, it wouldn't be it would be it wouldn't be directly marketing kind of thing. It would be more marketing synergy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
it
And
would be, basically essentially pre-orders before the thing comes out kind of thing, and bringing up, getting buzz and marketing hype and whatnot to drive the marketing, because like Kickstarter, starting a Kickstarter alone is going to do basically nothing for marketing. Doing advertisements on YouTube kind of thing will do something for marketing. But, doing advertisements on Twitter may or may not, do something for marketing. But when you combine all of them and let them feed into each other kind of thing, it creates this, I guess, synergy, multiplication effect where one feeds into the other, that feeds into the other, that then feeds into the other, and it's like this endless loop of, rolling a snowball, and it keeps on getting larger and larger every time you roll it, and you just keep on rolling it all throughout the three kind of thing, because you have this circle rather than a straight line. Because if you just have like the YouTube ads kind of thing, that is going just straight from the YouTube to your Steam page, and it's dead ending there. But when you have all of them connecting kind of thing, then they're all feeding into each other. People that see the Kickstarter might go onto Twitter and go into it. People that see it on YouTube might go to Twitter. People that see it on Twitter might go to either one of those. And they're going all the way to there.
yeah. And it's going to be, I think, very challenging because, as you said, like with Kickstarter and with going like on even on early access, that you need to have a plan established. Again, it feeds back into you have to be going above and beyond to begin with to really stand a chance.
Yeah.
And I think, again, we always say this that it's going to get harder and harder for indie developers to really stand out. And I know someone will argue me, well, I'll put my game on itch and I'll get, hundreds of eyes on it. But that's not really, I think, a growing platform still. Would you say that?
I mean, like, it's not a place to really get eyes on your game. I put it that way. It's I don't know if it's growing or not. It probably is, but it's not growing in a way that will help you, kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, people could see your game on there because there's billions of games on there, kind of thing. Billions, mostly billions of prototypes, not billions of games. There's probably only like 5 or 6 games on there, but there's probably billions of prototypes, kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, if you put a legit game on there, it's more likely to stand out. But the fact is it's probably not, because the fact is standing out on on a platform that has so many things means you don't stand out. Even when you stand out, you don't stand out, kind of thing. Because I know, but that doesn't mean it's not worth using at the same time. Because number one, you can, get whatever kind of monetization ratio you want, kind of thing. You can, put it on there without much worries, kind of thing. You just don't want to, count that as the pennies in you find on the street, or the pennies in the couch cushion, not quarters, because I know you can buy those in the couch cushion. But the itch.io is definitely not the quarters. It's just the pennies, kind of thing. Just the pennies and that you can find in the couch cushion and in the street while you're walking down. It's not going to do much for you, but hey, every little bit counts, right? And it's this extra bit that you can have, for basically nearly zero effort, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you take that, kind of thing, unless picking up a penny off the street is too good for you? In which case, ignore this.io, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
And
you shouldn't be, if you're counting that as your main monetization value, the main monetization model, place, platform kind of thing, then you've already failed. You've already, you might as well put like the skull and crossbones over your game, because you know, unless it's a pirate game, in which case you just put the giant red flags on it, kind of thing. But you've already failed at that point, because your game's already dead. If that's your plan, kind of thing, for a real game. Now we're not talking about hobbyist game here. We're talking about, you know, a legitimately developed game, not a project you've done on the side for fun kind of thing. Now, if you're done a project on the side for fun, then you're not worried about making money, I hope. And if you are, then stop worrying about it, because you shouldn't be making any money off of a little side project you did for fun, kind of thing. And you should absolutely put that on itch.io, kind of thing. But like the, you know, Nikita asked, what are the top 5 marketing platforms right now? And I do not know. I have heard lots of really good things, you know, forever about email mailing, email mail list things. And, you know, I hear that's the top from everybody, kind of thing. But, you know, getting people on the mailing list isn't easy. And, you know, so, and getting eyes on it also isn't easy. So, you know, but it has an amazing turnover rate at the same time, like conversion rate rather, because the highest percentage of emails turn to the highest percentage of sales, kind of thing. Versus, you know, any other form of marketing. So the conversion rate is amazing on emails. I know that, you know, but as for the marketing platforms, I don't actually know. I know that I am planning to make a absolutely amazing trailer, kind of thing, and put ads up there of that trailer, like on YouTube and such. I know that I'm posting on Twitter and whatnot, trying to gain somewhat of a following over there. I think I'm up to, what am I up to, like 20 or 30 people now on Twitter? Let's see here. 36. I'm up to 36 people. So not doing so hot, but, you know, that's 36 people I didn't have, you know, several months ago.
I'm up to, looks like 1,522, although I don't pay attention to my follower count anymore.
Yeah. And see, Josh is showing me up here. But, you know, I don't think there's any right answer necessarily to what platforms you use for marketing. But I would say use any platform that you can for cheap or free, kind of thing. And I would say, because you need to get your name out there. But, you know, we talked about this in marketing before, about how marketing for a AAA or a known developer is very, very different than a unknown developer. And you guys need to go watch that video for details on that, because like as the indie, you probably don't want to. There's 2 different kinds of marketing. There's the I forget, basically soft and hard marketing kind of thing. And for an indie, you want to save your hard marketing until the last several weeks, but you do want to soft market before that point. And you know, that's what I'm doing right now. I do soft marketing by doing dev streams on my channel every week. You know, YouTube videos like this here on my channel. You know, game streams once a week on my channel. You know, all that kinds of stuff. You know, promoting my YouTube channel right now. There's the plug right there. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not already. The Nexus Games LLC. All links are in the description. But you know, I think another place that has a really high conversion rate is Discord, kind of thing. So, you know, but getting people on your Discord channel is very, very hard. So, like, getting them to convert from Discord to a sale is a lot easier. But getting them to convert from wherever they were at to Discord is very, very hard. So, and it's kind of the thing with email, kind of thing. So, you know, maybe the reason why the conversion rate is so high on those 2 platforms is because it takes extra committed people to get them in there to begin with. So you're losing conversion rate off the top to get them in there, and then gaining it off the bottom because you've already filtered out basically all the people who are not hardcore kind of thing. And that very well is possible. And I don't think there's any way you can possibly see those numbers. And if there is, I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
But I really can't say what is the top marketing platforms. Just learn. First thing you need to do is figure out who's going to market your game. And I would generally suggest, if you do not know what you're doing with marketing, to have somebody else market it. Pay somebody professional.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't just go with any professional. I would make friends with another professional that's busy, kind of thing, not wanting your money, in other words, kind of thing, and make friends with them and get advice and from them, and use that to learn marketing if you want to get into that, or ask them advice on should I hire X person, kind of thing. Here's what they're saying, kind of thing. And of course, you need to get several friends like that, because and ask them, because maybe not all of them actually know what they're talking about, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think to Will's point, yeah, like about it seems there are on a few. Yeah, it's important. I think when we talk about like when you're trying to pick a marketing strategy, that it's not something that you can half-ass. Like one of the reasons why I stopped really caring about like Facebook is that I'm not on Facebook enough regularly to do something, and at this point, it would take away from what I do on Twitter. And as a developer, you really need to kind of stake your claim somewhere. There needs to be a footprint for you online that people can follow, whether it is a Discord channel, Twitter, Steam forum. You have to have some place. And Steam message board is, that is bottom of the barrel. You need some place for people to find you. And I still see developers mess up on that. And I think, again, like kind of building off of this, our top we're on right now, that as an indie developer, you have to do, I think, a lot more. And we say that every year. You do a lot more in 2020 than in 2019, a lot more in 2019 you did in 2018. And it's going to hold true for this year. And I think one of the big trends that kind of is like built from this is that consumers are continually get a lot smarter about
Mm-hmm.
the games they play and consume. And if
Some
they,
of it, anyway.
yeah, but there's a lot more information out there for somebody to follow you and to see whether or not your game is on the up and up. This isn't like 1993, where the only way I would know about a game is if GamePro or Nintendo or Game Informer reviewed it, and that could come out a month or two after that game was released. Today, I'll have information about a game probably before that game is even released, and we'll be able to judge it accordingly. And those are, again, the games like Shark just said, that they did the marketing right. They've been working on this for months or even years in terms of marketing. For a lot of indie developers, if you aren't marketing your game, you are just not going to do well.
Yeah.
And
And keep in mind that marketing your game isn't going to make you do well either. You have to market it right.
mm-hmm.
And even if you market it right, it still doesn't mean you're going to do well, but it means you have a chance at doing well. If you do it wrong, like there's pretty much no chance.
Mm-hmm.
And part of marketing, and it's not technically part of marketing, but it is part of marketing, is your art aesthetics. We always harp on that, and there's a good reason why we always harp on that, because the fact is, if your art aesthetics is not on point, if it's not big, beautiful, and flashy kind of thing, then you put that out there in whatever marketing campaign you put out there, and nobody's going to care.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I put out an image of a black just a black screen. I just took MS Paint and put black on it, kind of thing, and or white kind of thing, and I put it out there, and I was not part of Cyberpunk or whatever kind of thing, and it wasn't from the official Cyberpunk account. If I was not anybody famous and I put that out there, how much would people care?
Yeah.
Nobody would care. Nobody would care. Nobody would care at all. It's not flashy. It's not big. It's not beautiful.
Not different.
It's not different. It is, and technically it's a promotional stunt because it's just a black or white screen. But like, should say that it was a real image. It just didn't look good, kind of thing. The same thing would apply, except for without the marketing ploy, kind of thing. And the thing is nobody would care. Nobody would care because they've all seen stuff way better than that, and they're like, why is this even in my feed? Why am I even seeing this? And then they're going to the thing on Twitter and say, do not show me things like this again, kind of thing, and you're gone, kind of thing.
But again, the question is, why should somebody care about your game? And I mean, that's a topic in of itself. That's that could be its own show. We could certainly talk about.
And if you don't give them a reason to care in a photograph, then they're not even going to look into it to see if there's a real reason to care. You have to give them a visual reason to actually look at it before they could even think about caring. And if there isn't that visual reason to think about it, kind of thing, to begin with, then all your marketing is just in one ear and out the other.
You're throwing money in the dumpster there.
Yeah. You could spend $1 million on it, and you might, if you're lucky, get one or two sales off of it. You might earn $20 off of that kind of thing. But you could spend $1 million on your art budget, kind of thing, and spend $20 on your marketing and do worlds better. Yeah. Because there are games out there that have not necessarily the best art, but there's and I'm not even referring to the art, but there's games that were serviceable out there that get all their marketing for free and succeeded commercially, kind of thing. But they put in a lot of work behind it, a lot of their own time. But but the fact is that you can succeed without a marketing budget, but you can't really succeed without good art.
Yeah, there has to again be something to show people. And to Will's point about riskier is the safer strategy, like we say, it's a safely extreme. It's got to be safe enough that people can recognize it, but it has to be extreme enough that it completely stands out from everything else in the crowd.
Yep.
And for people like first timers or those who don't normally watch a show watching this, you may think that doesn't make sense, but in actuality, we have seen it make sense. When we look at some of the best games or the ones that are like Game of the Year or top 10 games, that they are something that's familiar in one aspect, but completely different in another. Look at Hades from last year, an action roguelike with a super heavy focus on narrative. It's an action game. It's a roguelike game. And it worked incredibly well. Or you look at something, again, like Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's a platformer, but it's also ridiculously beautiful. Or ugly, as we say around here.
Yeah, the meme goes.
And like when I think about games I'm excited about for 2021, I have World of Horror, a 1-bit horror adventure roguelike. Who would have thought someone would have been making something like that? And then I have something like Ultra Kill, which is, Indie Doom Eternal. That the developer put out footage of you being able to penta wield chain guns. And again, like that one GIF that he put out of you holding 5 different chain guns, that probably sold a few copies to people who saw that.
Probably.
Yeah. And yeah, to Will's point about Post Void, yeah, I'm sure people bought that one, even though it is a colossal pain on your eyes. Because even, like something that it's that very weird line between, you know, it's so bad looking that it's good, or it's so good looking that it's bad. Because we've seen games that go for the very, Unreal Engine sheen and polish, but it looks generic. Or you look at something like Post Void, Ultra Kill Dusk, Gloomhaven, where yes, it looks like a 1994 PC game or a PS1 like first generation, but it stands out in that way because it does look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I just looked it up. Post Void has over 2,000 reviews, almost 3,000
Mm-hmm.
reviews on Steam. That is actually incredible to me that people bought it that much.
Yeah. But as time goes on, as 2021 comes here, and getting those aesthetics is going to basically level up.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the aesthetics that would get you be good enough in 2020 will not be good enough in 2021 because it's leveled up. The floor of that has been raised.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's not a huge amount, I don't think, but like it is higher kind of thing. So if you were at the bottom of the possible succeeding art aesthetics in 2020, you're going to be under the floor in 2021. Now then, keep in mind that the bottom of the floor in 2020 was still pretty good looking games. Let's be honest; those were not bad. Those were definitely good looking games, but they were not amazing kind of thing. They were good looking, but not amazing. And that's where our floor was at in 2020, and the floor for 2021 is going to be that much higher than 2021. I don't know how much better, but it's going to be higher. It's going to be the floor is moving up. The floor moves up every year.
Yep. And like we've said, like the days where you could have like a minimum success, where the game has, programmer art, looks very low quality, it's $1 on Steam, that's not going to work these days because people want quality and they don't care what your game is priced at. If you want your amazing game to be priced at 20, like as we said on the Inquiry show, that kind of the new baseline price for indie games these days is probably going to be $15 minimum, and ideally $20 to $25.
20 is the new standard going forward kind of thing. Where 15 was the last several years kind of thing. And Nikita asked about what can unique looking do for pixel art. Well, what was that one game we played, Josh, with the really like pink aesthetic with the 3D? Where's a rogue, and you went through and you fought the enemies kind of thing in like an RPG combat kind of thing. It was then I got murdered by the second world's first enemy.
Space Renegades, Star
Yeah,
Renegades.
Star Renegades, I think was the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pixel art, and it was absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
And
and
you can look at pretty much any game from Lazy Bear, and they have really beautiful pixel art.
yeah, and again, it's important to stress that even though there are people who will say pixel art is lazy or it's horrible looking, there is a huge line between bad and amazing pixel art, as we just said with those examples.
Yeah. And
And
also, if you look at my current game that I'm working on, all the UI in it is pixel art, and most people don't even recognize it as pixel art, and they're like, "Wow!" I post a screenshot on it, and people are generally like their first reaction to it is "Wow," and that's what you want. That's what you need. If you post a
mhm,
screenshot and you get several people just going "Wow" or "That's amazing" kind of thing, that means you're on track with your
yeah,
visuals. If you post it and nobody replies to it, or they reply that you need to fix something kind of thing, you are definitely not on track with your pixel art kind of thing.
yeah. Like, if you saw, for instance, like in last year, there was that game River City Girls. That was pixel art and it looked very fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at something like Treachery and Beatdown City, which was, supposed to emulate Nest level graphics, and it looked horrible even for a Nest game. It looked like LJN levels of quality. And here's a pro tip. If people are comparing your game to LJN, that is a very big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, when we look at developers like Locomelito, Joy Mashers, Elden Pixels, who did Alwa's Awakening and Alwa's Legacy, they really pushed those aesthetics and the art. And I said this in a piece that I wrote, that there's a difference between having art as simply, just assets on screen and exploring what you can do with that art. Again, something like Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is not, the best looking game, but they nailed that aesthetic and did everything they could to make those production values pop.
Mm-hmm. And Will brought up a good point about Blasphemous is another good example of a
Oh,
beautiful
yes.
looking pixel game. And you remember that 4 game you were playing the other day with all the endings and whatnot?
Yeah, home, or no, house.
Imagine if that game had Blasphemous graphics.
Oh, God, that would cause nightmares. That would, I think, put a few people, going to bed, very depressed. Some of the nightmares they're going to have.
I think that would be good in that game.
hmm But again, back to the point that you cannot, again, rely on. I don't know how I want to put this. You can't rely on the bomb of the barreling if you want to succeed in this industry. And the developers who are making it or growing are pushing forward. And to Will's point from earlier about those who are doing riskier things, I think that, again, I think that's a major point. Like, for instance, Fights in Tight Spaces is a game that I'm really looking forward to. And it's a deck building, roguelike, turn based fighting tactical game. And when you can, again, the dream is you want a unique game with a unique aesthetic. And somewhere there has to be uniqueness. Because as an indie developer, you can't just say, I'm going to make the next Cyberpunk game. I can compete with CD Projekt Red, or I can make Diablo 5, on $100,000, right?
Yeah, I said that last week.
Mm-hmm.
That I would
Yeah.
to be directly on the even playing field with them. That would be easy.
Yeah. And it is tough because we've seen games that do things really well, but it's not focused on, I guess, the quote unquote consumer friendly or stream friendly side of things. And I think Will made a point about this. Let me see. Oh, yeah, about Post Void, that it had essentially he said, like a dev laser strike. And I think that's a really good example that you can have something that is so laser focused that there's no other market for it because nobody even knew that there was a market for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need to look at the fundamentals. And like we've said, you need to know the rules before you can effectively break them in this aspect.
Yeah, and you have to know the market as well
Yeah.
because you have to realize that there's a market out there for that kind of thing. Because if you make something that there's no market for, your game is spelled.
Yeah.
You know, there's a thing where it says that basically when you oh, I lost it. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay. But when you're trying to be able to market these games, again, a lot of the stuff that we say is this isn't, a super secret, design, fifth dimensional chess. This is 100. This is marketing 100. And if you fail the fundamentals, you're most likely going to fail everything else. And it's something that we see from developers who just to think that uniqueness alone will sell a game. I don't need to worry about control scheme. My game is just going to be, getting over it part 2.
Mm.
Or, this will be an emotionally driven story game, but I'm going to do nothing about play testing or onboarding for it. And then they're surprised that people don't want to play this game. And they'll say, oh, well, all these critics loved it, but critics aren't buying your game. They're not the ones
They're
who are
getting free
playing.
keys.
Yeah.
And, I kind of want to make a game right now called Red Flag and just do all the worst practices in it and show off all the red flags. Kind of thing. Just
I think you're late for that. There's a game known about it, that Dragon, that Eco Dragon game, remember? With like 8,000 different UI elements on screen all at the same time.
But is it called Red Flag?
No.
But then that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. It's a red flag of a red flag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about we're talking about real indies, not hobbyists. I mean, there's a very big difference between hobbyists and indies, because the big difference between hobbyists and indies is hobbyists are people who are just doing it on the side for fun, and shouldn't be doing it to earn money, shouldn't even attempt to earn money because they're going to get into big trouble if they do. Where indies are people who are having commercial ventures and having companies that they're going out to sell and try to make games for a profit, kind of thing.
A hobbyist is not really thinking about the market or thinking about making something that they want to sell.
And some indies aren't either, and that's
eh.
bad on that. I mean, hobbyists can make money. They make $100, but that's not making money.
It's not building a business.
Yeah, and that's also gets them into a lot of trouble a lot of times too.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will criticize them very, very hardly because they're making money. Because that's the way our market works.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how people came on to Steam page and told me to get the crap off of Steam because I'm cluttering up the storefront with my last game, The Word of the Day Chromasia. And they called it no crap effort crap show or something like that.
I'm sure somebody said asset flip, right?
Yeah, they definitely did that too.
Mm-hmm.
But professionals are indies are professionals. At least you need to be a professional as an indie. If you're not a professional as an indie, then you're not taking things seriously enough, and you need to up your game.
Yeah. And what we're seeing, I think, from the studios who've had like smaller hits, is that push to try and redefine themselves going forward. And it is tough because you can take all that goodwill that you earn and completely flush it down the toilet. And we've seen developers fail because of that.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red knows nothing about that.
Or the Trine developers.
Mm-hmm.
But
and to Will's point about following the market, when you follow the market, that's usually you failing because
it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. It's like somebody's like if you see somebody running down the road and they're running a 500K kind of thing, and you're like, oh, I'll start running the 500K and catch up to them kind of thing. Well, you have to start at the beginning, and they're already halfway done, if not all near the finish line, and you're going to come in last place. or last along tied with last with everybody else who decided to start at that point to go after him. And by that point, you're done, kind of thing. Like the whole trend, there's going to be everybody's seeing Cyberpunk 2077 released now, and everybody's going to jump on that bandwagon and start running that race, kind of thing. I've already, I'm doing something Cyberpunk based myself, and I've been on that racetrack for 2 years now, and I really wanted to get off of that racetrack about a year ago when I learned about Cyberpunk, but we were too far in, kind of thing. And it was like, catastrophe if we get out. Now it's a race to get to the end before it's too late. And, Cyberpunk 2077 releasing doesn't make it too late. What's going to make it too late is a flood of low quality Cyberpunk games where, that saturate the market to where people go, oh God, not another Cyberpunk game. Oh God, not another zombie game. Oh God, not another, space game. I pass. But you haven't even seen the game. I pass. I already know all that I need to know. It's a zombie space or Cyberpunk game. Next, we need a Cyberpunk zombie space game. We need one of those because that would just really, hit all the marks of saturated market kind of thing. And it's when the market becomes flooded, when it becomes oversaturated, when it becomes too late, kind of thing. And it's a race to get out before that point.
And again, I think one of the major trends of this year is going to really be seeing Cyberpunk.
No, I haven't.
It's really going to be seeing who's going to be able to adapt to how the market is changing. Because, like I said, when I spoke with Rami Ishmael about it, that if he did the same things that made Nuclear Throne a success, so many years ago in 2020, he would have been failing out of the industry. And we're still seeing developers who are making that mistake of, let me just copy what's popular. Let me just try and recreate Mario. Or let me just make a Diablo game, and that will do. Let me spend 5 years trying to recreate Mario. And then my game will be a success.
Yeah, let me just do what Minecraft did back in, before Steam existed. That will succeed today. Let me do what
people buying my game.
Let me do what Stardew Valley did. What 6 years ago, 5 years ago? No, I don't think it was that long. 4 years ago, maybe. And that'll succeed, right? No, it won't. If everything, whoever made, if whoever made those games were to do the same thing today as they did several years ago, they would probably fail horribly. I know Minecraft would fail horribly if it released the same way it did then today. Nobody would even know what Minecraft is if that was the case, because it would be non-existent, because like nobody would, if you released a brand new Minecraft today, you would have people all over Steam being like, what the heck is this crap? Get it off of the storefront. This is garbage. And a lot of people use that as their justification to not spend money or time on their aesthetics. Some people use they use Minecraft for that example, and then they use the Stardew Valley as the example of this one guy did the whole entire game except for all the marketing that he had a publisher for. And the fact is that he was an extremely talented artist, extremely talented programmer, extremely all this stuff. And, are you all that stuff? No? Then you can't do the same thing. If you are, and keep in mind that same thing isn't enough for the current market, but you can't even meet that same thing, that same minimum level of quality as a solo if you do not have the exact same or better talents in every single area.
Yep. And again, you're going to have to do a lot more. But to kind of move things back to our 2021 predictions, because we kind of gone an India rant here. One thing that I wanted to talk about, I think this will be, I think my final topic, other than what games we're excited about. But another thing that I'm curious about in 2021 is going to be coming from the AAA side, and who's in trouble or who's going to possibly not make it through this year. And of course, 2020, we saw, Bioware, Bethesda, CD Projekt Red. There's a fourth one, right?
Do we call it CD Projekt Red Flag now?
Sure. Except Blizzard, Bethesda. Wasn't there another one?
Probably.
No. Probably there is. I'm just forgetting it. Oh, even something like Crystal Dynamics after the failure of Marvel's The Avengers. But my question, I guess, for you guys and for you as well, Shark, any AAA developers you're kind of nervous about their prospects in 2021?
I mean, all of them that didn't sell well.
Mm.
All of them that created a lot of controversy around them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really bad for Microsoft, seeing how they just bought Bethesda and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. I bet they're really happy about that decision right now.
Yeah.
I think, again, like the two biggies for me would be Blizzard and Bioware. Bioware has been a company that, again, and longtime fans know, I've never been a huge fan of theirs. And I think a lot of their success has just been on, the storytelling and the bare minimum of gameplay. And what we saw with Anthem, again, is what happens when BioWare tries to flex their gameplay muscles, and it utterly falls flat on their faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they're alone for this world. I also don't think Blizzard is long for this world, because we've seen this trend over the last many years of how Activision is taking over Blizzard bit by bit and consuming little bits of them at a time, and just consolidating them 100% into Activision. And I suspect at one point it won't be Activision Blizzard; it'll just be Activision kind of thing.
Active Blizzard.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think that time is too far down the road, kind of thing. And of course, you really can't tell the two companies apart now, because they're both so anti-consumer. So I mean, like I love Diablo 2, one of my best games of all times, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad to see, because I would not touch a single Blizzard game now with a 3,000-foot power pole.
What about with a phone?
No, I don't have a phone.
Mm-hmm. And I think Diablo 4 is going to be like the last hurrah of Blizzard. That if it doesn't come out of the gate being amazing, then I think Blizzard is done at that point. Like if they can't even release a successful sequel there, of course the fanboys will and fangirls will keep buying their games. There's no denying that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of kind of the name or the branding of Blizzard would be gone then.
I think it may even die before then. I think Diablo 4 might be under the Activation level.
Mm-mm.
I think there's a chance in that. Of course, there's a chance of it not being, and it being still under Blizzard. But like the rate at which Activision has been taking over Blizzard, kind of thing. Like I Diablo 4 is probably still 3, 4, 5 years off, kind of thing. And I think the Blizzard name might be gone before then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, it's always hard to predict these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess on a happier note, or quote unquote happier note, any developers for you, Shark, and for the audience that you are excited to see the next game from?
Now, my company, obviously, I'm very excited to see that. Um, Other companies, well, I am excited to see Epic Tavern come out to full release.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you would call that the next game, the current game, how you would consider that. Um, Definitely interested in seeing the Bog come out, which is developed by one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Which that game is looking very beautiful, kind of thing. It's
Which game? The Fog?
the Bog,
The
BOG.
Bog. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a very small Discord, like the size of mine, kind of thing. Actually, I think it's bigger than mine, but not by much. But it a lot of people have compared it to Ori and the Blind Forest, even though it looks nothing like it, other than the fact that it has a white colored character,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a good aesthetic kind of thing to it. Um, I'm definitely interested in seeing the new Shopkeeper game, whatever that ends up getting its final name. I don't know if it has its final name or anything, but it's the one based off of Resettier, and
Okay.
that person is in your Discord, by the way. That's where I found out about it. Um, see here. I'm interested to see what Berserk Studios, my old mentor, does with Emperor Nax or Emperor Snacks.
Mm. Want some Inferno snacks?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think for me, I'm excited to finally try or really get into Grifflin when it comes out.
Yeah, there's that too.
World of Horror, I mentioned, Ultra Kill, basically anything from New Blood. I'm excited about to see. Um, I think again, like the weird thing for me is that I don't really follow too many indie games until they're either out or really close to it. So I don't think too much about 6 months, 12 months down the line. I guess as always, if Pony was here, he'd probably say the same thing. Hollow Knight Silk Song, I'm really excited about. And to I'm sorry, to WRF's comment about if CD Projekt Red will redeem themselves. Again, I think their fan base doesn't care. I think it's still going to be successful no matter if or when they fix it.
But it's already successful.
Yeah, more successful, I guess.
Yeah. And
Mm.
their fan base has already dropped most of the, controversy and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Back for Blood, I'm excited about. I know people are talking about Elden Ring, the new game from Software. I'm interested in that, but again, until I see gameplay, it doesn't exist in my mind. And fingers crossed that we see some XCOM 3 related announcement this year. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
Firaxis will pull the same thing and they'll announce it, and like a week later it will come out.
So basically, even though you only play indie games, you're only excited about the triple A's and really, really
Mm-hmm.
big indies. Only the ones that you know by name, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's a little marketing thing right there. For anybody
Yep.
paying attention there. Like if you're a big name person, you can market your game differently. You have to market your game differently than
Yeah.
if you're a smaller unknown person, because see this is a perfect example right here. So I'm going to take advantage of it. So like when you're unknown, when you're not one of those companies kind of thing that are really well known, you have to come out. You can do your soft marketing all the time, like dev streams, dev logs, that kind of thing. That's soft marketing. But your hard marketing, where you're like putting out YouTube ads, you're posting everywhere,
You're reaching out to developers. Oh, I'm sorry, reach out to, you know, people in the press, YouTubers, stuff like that.
yeah, when you're doing all that, you need to do that towards the end. And when I say towards the end, I mean the last like 6 weeks to 6 months kind of thing. And you need to do tons of prep work before you do that. Don't mean that you should start at that point, but that's when you should start, putting stuff out there kind of thing. Because basically what you need is where like stuff like Shovel Knight, they can put out one thing and people will theorize and go off about it forever kind of thing.
Or
You put out
Fine Nights.
yeah. You put out, as an unknown, you do that kind of thing, nobody's going to care.
No.
Nobody's going to care. That's the reason why, basically what happens with, known developers is they can put out a little stuff and hype will build itself kind of thing. And it'll keep on going and it'll keep on building. And then by the time they get to the end, they release and you got epic tons of hype. The game sells tremendously well. You're done kind of thing. You make up all your money back in like the first day from CD Projekt Red. Where when you're unknown, your hype is going to die down almost instantaneous as soon as it builds up. So you need to have a continuous stream of just hype, never letting that hype fall and always just building onto it. And, you cannot do that for very long. That's the reason why it needs to be the last 6 weeks to the last 6 months kind of period when you start that first hype and you keep that hype going until the release date, and then you try to keep it going after that release date. And if that hype dies, then your marketing is basically just dead. Like there's so many games that Josh talks about that will be like, yeah, I heard about this game, I was really excited about it. And then I haven't heard anything from them in the year. Even though they posted stuff in the last year. They posted probably plenty of stuff in the last year. He didn't hear about it because it was a hype building, big stuff kind of thing. And it wasn't all in a row, so people weren't continuously talking about it. So you have to get people continuously talking about it. And the only way to do that is basically a hype train. You have to build your own hype train. You got to link those cards. There's only like a foot between those cars on a hype train that you build. Now, when consumers build that, then there's like, because you're a well-known developer, then you're putting out a train car every 6 months kind of thing, and they're just putting in they're shoving in all these train cars that are like 1 foot wide, kind of thing, in there like every 5 minutes kind of thing, and it's a very, very different thing. That's the reason why, as an unknown indie, you have to market very, very differently than when you're known.
Yep. All right, but I think that's the last topic for me for this week's show. I guess, do you have any topics left in terms of 2021 forecast?
Well, I suspect that throughout 2021, Cyberpunk is going to grow in the storefronts. You're going to hear a lot of stuff around Cyberpunk games, not just Cyberpunk 2077, but a lot of Cyberpunk games. And, hopefully my game is one of them. And, hopefully my game releases before the point is too late. I also suspect, as I said, that the floor of the graphics is going to climb. It's going to get higher. I'm suspecting that marketing is going to be just as confusing as it is now for indie developers, and it's going to be just as hard to learn and get into it. I'm predicting that that CD Projekt Red is going to keep its fan base. They're going to burn out a few people, and they're going to burn out a lot of people who were not specifically part of their fan base, and they're going to be fine for the most part, just like the way Blizzard does, And that is probably not a good thing, but that's the thing, and I suspect that will continue to happen. I suspect wall makers will continue to put out, in the U.S., will continue to pull out, burnt ground, law policies to completely wreck all of game development. I suspect that the new law that the new accessibility law that was put in effect by the FCC, several years ago, but just fully took place, last year, kind of thing. I'm suspecting that will be on there for it's either going to make absolutely no difference because people are going to continue doing the same thing they're doing, and the FCC isn't going to make an example out of somebody, or people actually learn about it, figure out that they have to do stuff, and we see an increase on that, or the FCC makes an example out of somebody, you see somebody absolutely crushed to an utter degree, and people are going to then, start to get their ducks in a line kind of thing, and we're going to see more accessible games kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I take it Antoine's referring to me. That I am working on Neon Continuum right now. Links to all the stuff is down in the description. No store page yet. Just Discords, YouTube channels, Twitters, that kind of thing. And it's a card game originally based off of Triple Triad, which is a mini game in Final Fantasy VIII, and it has a lot of aspects of Magic the Gathering put into it. One aspect of one or two aspects from Hearthstone kind of Hearthstone, yeah, and several other games kind of thing. But it's and all that, and then it's got a brand new consumer friendly model that I'm working on to monetize it. It'll be a free to play, but I really hate abusive free to play games, and I was really hesitant about making it free to play at first because of that. But that's the way
I
it's
hope they're
built.
not referring to me as a guest speaker. I'm the guest of my own channel.
What game are you working on, Josh?
YouTuber, the game, which is
Masochism the game?
mode.
Masochism the game?
Mm-hmm. But I think one final point that I want to kind of build off of what you just said there about kind of the bar of quality for graphics or aesthetics going up on the independent side. I think at the top of the ladder, like the super fancy, the best looking graphics, I think we're finally hitting I guess kind of a max point for that. Like I don't see high end, maybe in rare exception, getting much higher than what we've kind of achieved this generation, unless there's some new fancy technology for graphics cards coming. I know everyone's getting really excited about the whole ray tracing thing that
Well,
the RTX cards are doing.
Yeah, ray tracing is becoming an industry standard now.
Mm.
And, of course, there was a big controversy about that not too long ago about where NVIDIA basically snuffed one of the card reviewers because he did not, quote unquote, fall in line by saying that ray tracing is the best thing under the world kind of thing. And, really selling that kind of thing. And, yeah, a lot of YouTuber reviewers of hardware really banded together there and really went after NVIDIA hard on that one. And yeah, I think that's still technically up in the air, although it's been mostly calmed down kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but ray tracing, I mean, AMD has their own ray tracing now, and the consoles are using AMD chips and whatnot, so they're getting ray tracing, and once consoles get it, you can expect it to be a norm on PC going forward, kind of thing, because it's going to be a norm on consoles going forward, and if PC isn't as good or better, then guess what? PC people are going to be very unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Nvidia is not wanting to drop it at this point because they're doing everything they can to push it forward. And Nvidia, AMD is not, of course, going to want to get walked all over by Nvidia by not having ray tracing, and they already have it. So why would they not continue to press forward with it? So I suspect that ray tracing will be the new standard of the future going forward, and maybe might put a little bit of ray tracing in my game. Because in theory, it'll be cheap to do because the game is very low load kind of thing. Now then, if it'll be cheap to work on it, that's another thing, and we'll have to see about that. But
Yeah. All right. But I think with that, let us wrap things up for this week. So, for those of you watching this live or recorded, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you want to catch these shows live, they are on Sundays, starting around 4:30 on both of our respective channels. And you want to catch our other new show, Indie Inquiry. That is where we review and examine Steam marketing pages for games and offer advice on how to better promote and market your title on Steam. You can catch those Thursdays at around 3:30 p.m.
Yeah. And of course, you can follow my channel where we, do this show as well as the other, the Indie Inquiry on the same days at the same times. But we also have the my dev streams, which are every Friday, where we work on the End Continuum, and we have which the last one was amazing. I love that last stream. It was super productive. And every Tuesday we do game streams, and of course, Josh over here on Game Wisdom does our his game streams every day, and his developer talks whenever he has somebody ready to come on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we both have Twitters, Discords, all this other stuff, and and you can, as Board Fan says, you can go to my Discord and get your soul stole. And, of course, if you want to see the live streams live, click the bell on both of ours, YouTube channels, and also join the Discords because we post notifications and our announcements, both Josh and I, in our separate Discords. And, did I miss anything?
When do you do your live streams again?
I do it Sundays for the Safely Stream podcast, Tuesdays for the game streams, Thursdays for the Indie Inquiry, and Fridays for our dev streams. And the first Saturday of every month on our Discord, we have a dev chat. Where if we have a playable version, which supposedly we will next one, well, supposedly we would have this one, but that didn't happen, as usual. But I don't see, at this point, I don't see any reason why we won't have one next month. It'll be a huge shock if we do. But hopefully, we'll have some semi-public testing there in that dev chat. And it's called dev chat because it's where the developers chat with you. It's not a private, developer only, because I probably need to come up with a new name for that. Because a lot of people seem to think that it's a private developer only thing that, you have any, speaking of that, which you have any ideas on that? Anybody have any ideas?
In terms of naming, I'm the wrong guy to ask about that.
Well, if anybody has any suggestions on a new, better name of where the developers connect to the consumers and tell updates about the game and possibly play it semi-publicly on the Discord, let me know in the comments, chat, wherever, on Discord, wherever. If you have any ideas, pitch them. Also, thanks, Antoine.
All right. Other than that, I think that will do it. Oh, and as a quick thank you, we officially hit 7,000 subscribers on the Game Wisdom channel this week. So thank you, everybody who has been enjoying the content, and for the new and returning fans.
Yeah,
Other than that,
congratulations.
Thank you. 3,000 more to go before we hit 10K.
Yep.
That's, I think, the same thing for me too, Board Fan, asking me for naming help. I will be back tonight for my regular game streams, and we're going to be doing more horror as I officially have 3 months to write my book on the genre. So that should be very fun. We'll be checking out Alone in the Dark 1, and maybe throw in some more Silent Hill 4 for good measure. So, with all that said, everyone have a great rest of your Sunday. Come back for regular discussions on game design dev here and on Game Wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.
See ya.